I got a question about teaching online workshops because the workshop survival guide's about in-person workshops, and some of the challenges. I kind of stopped doing teaching when it moved online. I'm just doing Q&As now, basic stuff. And the reason for that is a big part of teaching in-person workshops is managing the energy levels throughout the day or the session, and then also picking teaching formats that match the learning outcomes. So, for example, if people need to do a practice skill like learning customer conversations or pottery or skateboarding or whatever, you want them to do some practice exercises and try it now. If it's decision making, wisdom, strategy, whatever, evaluating options, you want them to do case study challenges. So you want to choose a teaching format that matches what you're trying to teach, right? And so the problem with online is that it's really hard to do breakout rooms and keep people on track. At least this is what I found. There are tools, I think, virtual world tools like Gather.town, and I've seen some that are kind of like Zoom, but the breakout rooms can have good instructions and prompts and little timers, so kind of more robust breakout rooms. But the challenges I've had with these is that the browser support tends to be limited or the UX is a bit rough. So it's hard to get a full group of people all onto this tech and feeling comfortable, especially if you've got a wide range of like corporate IT restrictions or different age ranges and comfort with technology. So if you're on trying to do it through something like Zoom, what happens is when you do a breakout room, it works if the prompt is get to know each other or chit chat or tell each other about yourselves, something really basic, because that's what people naturally gravitate to when they drop into a breakout room with a couple of other people. They're like, oh, so tell me about yourself. And essentially, I found in all my testing that they immediately lose any more complex prompt than that. So if you're trying to get them to talk about a specific topic or a specific issue or work through a case study, they just don't. And it's really hard to manage that because you don't have good visibility into all these breakout rooms. So what happens is you can pop in and out of breakout rooms yourself, but as soon as you appear, everyone stops talking and they listen. They wait for you to say something because they think you're going to be doing instructor things. So it's really hard to observe. Whereas in the real world, you can walk around tables, a meter away, and sort of oversee and then drift on to make sure they're on topic. So all of that's an issue. I tried doing flipped classroom, which would, in theory, make perfect sense. Where flipped classroom is where you basically have them consume the lecture and the knowledge components ahead of time. So you give them videos, you give them reading, and then when you show up, you can make 100% efficient use of your time. So in theory, you can get an equally good workshop in a much smaller amount of time because everything can be spent on discussion and problem solving. In practice, though, I found I never had a group where more than 50% of the attendees actually read the or watched the learning material. And so then the whole group would get slowed down to their pace because they're like, wait, what's this? Or what are you talking about? Or they're asking questions that other people got from the reading. You could probably solve this if you had a really heavy hand about kicking people out, or if, for example, there was like a quiz for people to get in to kind of prove that they've read it. And you'd only have to kick out half of your class a couple times before people got it. This would work in a cohort-based course, but it wouldn't work for a one-off event. So overall, I think there's a lot of challenges. I do like one-on-one breakout rooms with simple tasks, primarily to connect the attendees with each other in kind of a community sense, and also just to lift the energy level. An advantage of QA is you can collect QA questions in advance and you can have people vote on them. You can have questions submitted and voted even by people who aren't there. You get the recording afterwards, so you get a lot of content marketing for free. Once you edit down that video, remove any sensitive or private information, and you start clipping it out. You do the Gary Vee content pyramid where you're sending it out to YouTube Shorts, to TikTok, etc. You're cross-posting all of that. So there's a lot of benefits to online teaching. I just feel very limited with managing attention and with choosing interesting teaching formats that are allow people to really get the learning outcomes. So that's why I kind of took the easy way out, and I dropped back into doing just Q&As. It's like I show up, I answer questions, and it's not because I think that's the best approach. I think for me it was an easy approach where I kind of stay engaged, but I don't have to crack this difficult design challenge. If you can fix this, a lot of people are trying to do it with software tools, but like I said, I really feel like the browser support and the onboarding and the education is super important. And there's a lot of edge cases that some of the tools don't support. So Gather.town is one I looked into relatively seriously, and I probably will use it at some point. It's kind of a 2D virtual world in the spirit of Super Nintendo RPGs, where you get a little character and you wander around, and as you get close to people, it pops up video chats. I like that. You can design the world, so you can do things like there's a stage where you're speaking to everyone. There's little breakout areas where they're only seeing each other. It's pretty fluid to get in and out of groups. However, the challenge there, at least what was the deal breaker for me, apart from the browser support, is that I couldn't find a way to control the onboarding if people showed up late. And I was like, it was little stuff like that. Is these kind of marginal edge cases, and maybe I just didn't think through it hard enough. Someone should, because there's a huge opportunity in figuring out how to run high quality virtual events. The difference between someone who gives a coherent lecture for an hour and someone who actually runs a high energy, like high learning impact workshop for an hour is the difference between getting paid nothing and getting paid 5 or 10 grand an hour. So if you're looking for a freelance career and you're willing to spend the time figuring this out, I think it's great. I think the tooling option is hard because there's so many people making tools right now, but there's certainly a great businesses and the facilitation side. And if you figure anything out, please let me know because I've just been having a hard time with it.